want to show you just ground zero of this search. EquiSearch leading this whole thing. You can see, guys, look at how many volunteers, and that's likely because, of course, this is a 4-year-old girl, a young girl, Maleah Davis. We want to show you her picture as well while we talk about it, because the hope is, according, to Tim Miller, is if you have seen her, the first thing you need to do is call police. Meanwhile, the search out here continues. We're off the freeway on Greens Road, and this is the area that she was last seen in. This is the area where stepfather says that 3 men in a blue truck approached them and knocked him unconscious, and then for 24 hours he doesn't know what really happened. The next thing he knew is he woke up in the Sugarland area and Maleah was taken from him. As you said, we want to get right to that interview we just had, very emotional, with Maleah's mother.
I'm terrified for Maleah. My spirit is so broken. I feel so lost.
Surrounded by his family, Craig Davis spoke with ABC 13 in his first interview since his daughter's disappearance. Investigators say 4-year-old Maleah has been gone since Friday.
I haven't spoken to the public because I can't talk about my daughter I can't control my emotions. I can't predict myself. I break down and I cry.
In a video posted to Instagram, Davis shared sweet moments with his daughter as he anguishes over her whereabouts now.
Good.
Investigators say Maleah's stepfather was the last person to see her. Darian Vince told police he was driving to the airport Friday night with Maleah and his 1-year-old baby boy. He pulled off at Greens Road and 59 to check a tire, and that's when he says he was ambushed by 3 Hispanic men in a 2010 blue Chevy pickup similar to this one. Vince says the men kidnapped the family. He says he was in and out of consciousness and was dropped off in Sugarland Saturday evening with the baby, but Maleah, he says, was gone. Desperate for answers, this father says he wants to speak with that stepdad.
I'm not putting the blame on anybody. I just need the questions that aren't answered to be answered. There are so many unanswered questions. And it's not for the public to answer them for me. It's not for police officers to answer them for me. It's not for the news to answer them for me. It's for Darian.
We have not seen him
to answer for me.
And the pressure to find her is intensified by the fact that she needs medical attention. Maleah recently underwent head surgery for a skull fracture from an accidental fall at home. Davis says even through her hospital stays, his daughter stayed strong and determined.
Even in pain, even in her injury, my daughter went through everything she went through, and it did not change anything about her.
CPS did investigate that head injury. It happened under the care of her mother and stepfather. She and 2 siblings were removed from the home in August, but returned in February. And Craig Davis does tell us he was able to meet with the stepfather, Darian Vince, over the weekend, but it was a brief interview and emotions. It was a brief get-together, and emotions were very high. He has not been able to get a hold of the stepfather since, and so he's just very eager to speak with him again to really understand what happened that led to his daughter's disappearance Friday night.
Desperately hoping to find Maleah, the group Houston's Unsolved Homicides searched today. They combed over the A-Leaf area with quad runners and horses.
We want to bring her home. If she's somewhere in the woods, in a bayou, let's lay her to rest. Let's put her to rest. Have a little bit of closure.
God, we need to represent this child in love. God, we need to represent this child in leadership and understanding. For God, it appears that she won't be here to represent herself.
On Mother's Day, a group of moms led a march to Maleah Davis's apartment. The 4-year-old has been missing for over a week.
Keep sharing her picture, keep talking about her. It affects the whole city, everybody, the whole world talking about her. We just praying that they say something. Where is she?
Even though most have never met the little girl, they felt moved to do something. Even if it's a small gesture, like leaving a stuffed animal at her door.
I just want to show my support to the parent and the family.
Instead of releasing balloons, they blew bubbles. and pray.
I have one son and he have kids, and I have grandkids. And it really hurts to see that a child is missing.
They pray Maleah is found alive, but as hope fades, they hope more people join the search effort so at least her family can get answers.
We can be what this child needed. We can actually be the parents that are going to take care of her, the final act. Let's find this child.
Biological father's side of the family was there as well, and all eyes were on Maleah's mom when she walked out of the courtroom, Art and Melanie. She faced tough criticism from protesters shouting accusations at her and what they say was a failure on her part to protect her daughter. Take a listen.
Justice for Maleah! Justice for Maleah! Justice for Maleah! Justice for Maleah! Justice for Maleah!
Now, when Brittany Bowens came out of the courtroom, she wore her sunglasses. She did not speak as she stood behind community activist Quanell X. He spoke for the mother. He made statements. They know where the body is. We're not sure how true that is, however. Quite a turn this is all taken with the mother as well, who initially defended her then fiance to me in an exclusive interview, and then come to find out police believe he is involved. Surveillance images show Darion Vence bringing Maleah home on Tuesday, April 30th. That's just 3 days before he claimed she was abducted. But the thing is, police say she was never seen leaving the apartment again with Vence. The Friday he claimed they were all abducted, he was seen leaving only with his son. Surveillance also showed him carrying out cleaning products, a laundry basket, and a black trash bag inside. That laundry basket was later recovered in the trunk of the car, where cadaver dogs also detected a human body may have been there as well. Today, Maleah's family from her biological father's side came out. As I mentioned, they're upset not only with Vence, but with Bowens as well. Here's what his cousin had to say.
I came here to support my family. My cousin Craig, he's devastated. Right now, he's not in the right state of mind to be here. And I'd rather for him to pull himself together before he even try to come out and listen to this, because it's sad. As a mother, how can you allow a monster to do your daughter like the way that he did?
In court today, the family of Maleah's father spoke up.
She didn't deserve this.
Blaming more than just the man arrested, Tamisha Mendoza wants answers from Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens.
You said you had suspicions that he was molesting her. Why did you stay? Why didn't you remove yourself out that situation? Furthermore, why you didn't remove her even if you didn't want to leave that situation? You could have sent her to her dad. You could have sent her to her grandparents. You could have sent her anywhere except for instead of leaving her there.
All questions the little girl's mother ignored as she walked through a crowded courthouse. Speaking only through community activist Quanell X, she maintains Vence killed her daughter.
We have a great idea what he did with Maleah's body after he killed in the apartment.
His bond was originally set at $1 million. It was reduced today to $45,000.
I would love to know from the CPS caseworker who released her back into her mother's care. Why? So for right now, I'm supporting my family, and I'm going to be here every court appearance.
Investigators have not identified the girl's mother as a suspect in the case.
Joe Vence says his brother Darion isn't ready to tell his side of the story yet, but says he does have another side of the story and says that he is innocent in this case. We talked to his brother Joe right after he had talked to his brother Darion in jail, but said he wanted the world to know, Darion that is, that he was innocent and that the truth will eventually come out. He wants the world to know that he's innocent.
Yes.
Did he say anything else?
He's doing well. He's very strong. He's a good man. So once God is with you, the whole world, the whole city, everybody can be against you. So we're a strong, praying family. God is on our side. God is with my brother. So I have no worry.
You are here because of a warrant that was issued for your arrest. The warrant charges you with a felony offense of tampering with evidence. Now we're going to hear from the Assistant District Attorney the information that was contained within that warrant.
Your Honor, officers indicate that on May the 4th that they were assigned to investigate the case of a missing, possibly kidnapped 4-year-old child, complainant Maleah Davis. In the course of conducting that investigation, officers conducted a recorded interview with the defendant, Darion Vence, in which he stated that on Friday, May the 3rd, that he had left his apartment with the 4-year-old, his 2-year-old son, and his 2-year-old son, and that the three of them had gotten into his girlfriend's silver Nissan Altima, and then at some point while he was driving with the 2 children that he pulled over to check on the tire of the vehicle after he hit a bump when another vehicle pulled up behind him, and he stated that he was kidnapped by a group of Hispanic males in that truck, received a blow to his head, and said that he didn't see the car that he was driving again, and that he said that he passed out and woke up on the following evening at an unknown location on Highway 6 near Sugar Land, only with his 2-year-old son with him. He said he eventually got a ride from an unknown female to Methodist Sugar Land Hospital, and that's where he made the outcry that the 4-year-old daughter was missing. He said that police said that the defendant told them that there should not be any blood in his apartment. The officer reviewed video surveillance then from the porch of the neighbor's apartment next to the defendant's apartment. And the footage showed that at 1:40 p.m. on Friday, May the 3rd, that they recognized the defendant carrying out from the apartment, outside the apartment, from inside to outside, a large blue laundry basket with a large black trash bag inside. Then it is seen to walk out of the camera's view and then return about 3 minutes later without the basket. He's then observed walking out of the apartment with cleaning supplies, including bleach. They did not view the complainant ever leaving the apartment. They did see the defendant leave later with only his 2-year-old son from the apartment. The complainant was not seen leaving the apartment at all. And then on Sunday, May the 5th, they go to the apartment and met with the defendant's girlfriend, Brittany Bowens, and with consent, they entered the apartment and observed drops of blood in the hallway leading to the bathroom of the apartment on various surfaces of the bathroom. Crime scene investigators were called out. There was a chemical reagent that was sprayed that reacted to blood in the hallway and bathroom of the apartment, reacted to the presence of blood that was not visible to the unaided eye. Samples were collected for further testing. On Friday, May the 10th, the silver Nissan Altima driven by the defendant was processed for evidence. There was a blue laundry basket, similar in appearance to the blue laundry basket that he's observed on the video surveillance carrying out of the apartment on the night of the 3rd. There were canine dogs that were trained to sniff the scent of a cadaver that walked around the vehicle and other vehicles in the parking lot, and both of the dogs reacted to the trunk of the silver Nissan that the defendant had driven and that the blue laundry basket was recovered from, indicating that the dogs were responding to the scent of decomposition, human decomposition in the vehicle. So at this point, a warrant was obtained for tampering with a corpse, a human corpse.
Mr. Vince, that was the information that was contained in the warrant, and that warrant was already signed for your arrest. It means that the judge who signed the warrant determined that there is probable cause in this case. Your case is now assigned to the 180th District Court. The judge of your court is Deshaun Jones. Mr. Vince, are you planning to request that a court-appointed lawyer represent you in this case? When your case goes to the 180th District Court, do you plan to hire a lawyer, or are you going to request a court appointment?
Hire a lawyer.
Would you like for the Public Defender's Office to represent you during this bond hearing?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brown?
Yeah, Mr. Vince, still working in this for about the last 6 months in the warehouse. It seems that he generally keeps consistent employment, has a little bit of college education from HCC. He does have a means of transportation to get to and from all court proceedings. life, absent maybe 7 years. Looking at the schedule, Judge, I believe this is the first arrest. Looking at the schedule, I was supposed to keep a beat between low risk and average risk. And Judge, I'm asking for a $5,000 bond, and defer all considerations to the urgent court.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Staten.
Given the fact that there's clearly a continued investigation into a very serious crime involving the death of that 4-year-old, and that the defendant, at least in this particular instance, is connected with the death, and there's evidence of deception on the part of the defendant with regard to information that he gave the police in a recorded statement. The state's asking for a $500,000 bond, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Staten. All right, this court, as I'm sure everyone present in this courtroom is aware of this case, it has received much media attention, a lot of notoriety associated with this case. Partially because the complainant witness, Miss Maleah, is an adorable 4-year-old little girl, and I think she's captured the hearts and the attention of just about everyone in the world. So this court is aware of a lot of the facts that were not contained within the warrant, including the fact that Maleah had suffered a traumatic brain injury while she was in the care of Mr. Vince and Miss Brittany Bowens. The court is also aware that Maleah was returned to the custody of Mr. Vince and Miss Bowens despite that traumatic brain injury that she suffered. This court is aware that at some point in time, HPD was unable to locate Mr. Vince's whereabouts. So in addition to deception, in addition to the changing stories, this court has a significant concern that Mr. Vince would not appear in court because of the ongoing investigation, which is likely to result in an upgrade, a significant upgrade to this second-degree felony. And so the court is setting the bond in this case, Mr. Vince, in the amount of $1 million. Mr. Vince, sir, are you a citizen of the United States? Thank you, sir. You may return to your seat at this time.
When you look at this picture of your little girl and you think, there's no answer, she's still missing, what goes through your mind?
Where is she? How did she feel before? What was she thinking about? Will I ever find out what happened, like what really happened to her?
Do you think Maleah is still alive?
As a mother, I want to hope that she is.
What do you think happened to your daughter?
I don't know what happened to her. I can come up with 1,000,001 reasons, but I don't know what happened to her.
We know the latest developments. Mr. Vince he was charged and he's now in jail. And we know his story from the beginning and fast forwarding till now with these charges. What do you have to say to him?
I don't have nothing to say to him. Nothing at all. Nothing.
Have you had a chance to talk with him with, you know, all of the latest twists and turns and developments in the case?
No.
And you were away for a funeral. How did you find out about the disappearance of Maleah? Were you still en route home? Were you still away?
I came home on the 3rd. He was supposed to pick me up. I waited for him for 2 hours. And so I had my mother come pick me up. And I just assumed that maybe he was just driving around, or maybe he was having car issues. I know it was raining that night. I didn't realize that they were missing until a few hours shortly.
At that point, what's going through your mind? You can't reach him. You don't know where your daughter is. What were you thinking?
I was terrified. I didn't know what to think. I was trying not to think the worst, you know. Maybe it was a car issues. I don't know.
And then that moment when you finally reach him and you learn that Maleah is missing, did you believe his story that he told you at first?
I wanted to believe it. I really, really wanted to believe that story.
What kept you from believing it?
The thought of him actually doing something to her, or something worse, something gruesome.
She grew suspicious very quickly upon returning to Houston from Massachusetts because he ceased to communicate with her. He wouldn't talk to her. He wouldn't return phone calls. He wouldn't respond to text messages. He would refuse to meet with her, and he would do everything he could to avoid and stay away from her. And then that's when she grew extremely suspicious and felt that his story obviously must have been a lie, and there was more to it.
Gotcha. Now, did you have any suspicions that Maleah had been abused before she disappeared?
No.
So this is someone you trusted.
Exactly. This is someone I trusted and I loved. And if something was going on, it was behind closed doors.
Brittany, at one point, what clicked to you? Okay, something isn't adding up. And that moment that you say, okay, I'm really suspicious now, something isn't added up. What was that moment or that click for you?
When I realized that he had been avoiding me, how all the signs of a person that's guilty. He didn't want to communicate. His family wouldn't let me communicate. I just couldn't understand. If you didn't do anything, why aren't you out here with me? Why aren't you out here? I didn't understand that. It just didn't make sense to me.
And then days later, those pictures surface with Darian carrying the laundry bag with the trash bag inside. When you first saw those pictures, what was your immediate response? And what did you think?
From what I had already known at the time, I couldn't think but ask, is that Maleah? Why do you have that basket when you just got laundry from my mother on the 1st? What are you doing with the basket? What is that? I know our routines. That's not laundry.
Now, Brittany, I've got to ask you, of course, this story has become a national story, national headlines. So many people searching for Maleah, praying for Maleah. but people are watching this case closely, and they're not only looking at Darian, but you have some people watching and they think you need to be in jail too. What do you have to say to that, to those people who feel you should be in jail too right now?
People are entitled to however they think, to however they feel, to their own opinions. I know my truth. And I love my daughter unconditionally. I would never do anything like that, or my children, or my sons, anything. I don't have a heart to do anything like that.
There are a lot of things being said online, comments that are being made via social media about if her father died on April 11th, why did she leave on the 30th? Well, what they don't understand is they had to raise money to get him buried. There was no burial policy, money on hand to bury him. So they had to make arrangements to do what they needed to do to get him successfully buried. That's why it took from the 11th to the 30th. The money was not readily available to bury her father. So she also did not have the money to pay for her own plane ticket. A family member of hers, a relative, paid for her ticket, and they didn't have the money to pay for the children to go. They only had enough to pay for her ticket. So she went on the 30th and came back on the 3rd. And the obituary states he died on the 11th, and his services was on the 1st.
So I'm guessing you had left Maleah with Darian before in the past. And how was it then? Was everything okay then? No problems there? And speaking of, you know, what people are saying, how they feel, I watched that video from the courthouse, and you had those protesters out there at the courthouse, one person even yelling, murderer. In that moment, I know you were silent, but what were you thinking? How do you feel about that? People calling you a murderer.
How did I get to this place? How did I get to this place? It was awful. I've never had to ever experience anything like that before. You know, you see things like that in movies. It just wasn't real for me. It just wasn't real.
And, you know, I know people were screaming murder. I don't think everyone thinks that you would do anything to harm your daughter. I think there are people out there who say, as a mother, she should have done more to protect this little baby girl. What do you have to say to that, Brittany? Do you think you could have done more?
Avoid that one. Avoid that. That's because that's going to play out in a CPS hearing. There's a gag order in the CPS case. Those questions are being raised within the CPS arena and the courtroom, and the judge has put a gag order on her that restricts her from even answering anything like that.
Well, going back, do you think you would have done anything differently, or do you regret anything?
Once again, it's the same thing, same question, but that's not something she can answer. She's under a gag order.
Right.
And that's in that arena.
And I'm not talking about the CPS investigation or the case. I'm just saying, you know, as a mother and this child and this 4-year-old who is still missing, and your ex-fiance now is now facing those charges. Do you think, as a mother, you could have done more to protect your little girl?
These are things I've said to Brittany based on my conversations extensively with her, based on my investigation to this case, based on everything we learned and found out. There are no perfect parents. Nobody's perfect. But I do believe there were warning signs that had she looked deeper into those warning signs, that intuition as a mother, but also at the same time, you got to remember, she's grieving the death of her father. So psychologically and mentally, she's turned upside down, stressed out about her father's funeral services, about him passing. And at this last moment, she gets a family member to pay for her ticket, but can't pay for the kids. So she was under a tremendous amount of stress. Hindsight is 20/20. We all can be Monday morning quarterbacks, but the game was played on Sunday. So, you know, I do believe she could have did a little bit more had she not been under so much stress and look at the warning signs that were there that we learned of.
And I think it's clear. I mean, personally, when you see that picture of her all pretty in her pink tutu, and then you look at these pictures of her on the beach, it is obvious that this little girl was loved
and well taken care of.
Right.
Absolutely.
And when you see those pictures and you fast forward to now, do you go back and say, okay, I regret this? Or do you have any regrets?
I think as a parent, at some point, everybody has regrets. I mean, nobody is perfect. You don't have to be in my situation to have regrets. Everybody's situation is different. Yeah, I probably could have done some things better, but
you know, when we came out of court, there was a few people yelling, murderer, murderer. But those people need to understand that the video proves while Maleah was outside, going in and seen again outside, that this mother was in Massachusetts. Flight, ticket, video footage proves she was in Massachusetts while her daughter was still alive. I don't believe she had absolutely anything to do with what this man did to her child.
And I think that is the overall consensus. But I think that the problem lies, and I think this is where people get critical. They say, why didn't you take your daughter? Why would you leave your daughter with this man?
like I said before, because I trusted him. I didn't know that after burying my father, I was going to have to come home to this nightmare.
And financially, she didn't have the money to take the kids. She didn't even pay for her own ticket. A relative paid for that ticket.
How were things with you and Darian before you left for your father's funeral?
Let's not speak to that. Let's move forward.
You know, that's fine. So is there anything you want to clear up, Brittany? Anything that you want to straighten? Just, you know, we talked about how this story has a lot of twists and turns. Is there anything you want to clear up or straighten up?
That I am a good mother. That I'm hurting just like everybody else, and I want answers too. And that I'm a human being first. I had no idea. I had no idea things are gonna turn out like this. I had no idea that I was gonna have to come home and have to search for my daughter. I'm devastated. Every day, every minute of the hour, I'm devastated. I just need people to know that I'm hurting too. This is my daughter that I carry.
They're still investigating. They're still searching. What's the latest in the search for Maleah? I know they had suspended
it. Yeah.
What do you want to see happen? Do you think where are you leading police? Are you just saying I think you should do this? I know there was something about a mail route, a family.
Yeah, that's already been dealt with, of him having a mail route in the Roshan area, and so Equisearch and I we talked about that a couple of days ago. Tim Miller and I about the Roshan area, trying to get a specific detailed route of where he actually went and where he worked. The number one concern right now for everybody, for you, me, her, everybody in the city, around the country, is where's Maleah? That's where we all got to go. We got to stay there until we can find out where Maleah is. None of us can truly get closure until we know where Maleah is. And so all of us must continue to channel our energies in the best manner that we possibly can, however we can, to try to find Maleah.
Brittany, after all of this has gone down, and you going through this, and I know it's hard for you, is there anything that in raising your other two kids in the future, or any things that you say, okay, I'm going to do this from now on? Or has this changed you as a mother and how you parent your other two boys?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't speak to it though. Just that you can say it. Yeah, it's absolutely.
All right. Anything else you wanna clear up? Anything else you wanna say? I know you talked about. You said you really want people to know that you were a good mother.
That's it.
And she seems so sweet. And I think
she's
that's
very sweet.
Yeah. Talk about her likes, her things, and stuff like that. What kind of little girl was she?
She was playful. She loved to dance to Just Dance videos on YouTube. We would dance together. She would sit with me while I would get dressed like I used to when I did with my mother. I remember doing that. And she was so caring. I mean, she always would ask, "Do you feel better? Mama, you feel better? Mama, you okay?"
He thought in that area is predominantly Hispanic and he could get away with that lie. So he even tried to make it a race issue, lying on Hispanics, when this man is the perpetrator of the crime himself. That touched a lot of people. But this beautiful young angel, that baby had a right to life. That child never should have been abused like that. And Brittany needs a lot of therapy and counseling, because she herself as a child was the victim of the same type of abuse. And even in foster care, she was the victim of the same type of abuse all over again. And so now she is now allowed her daughter, when it was her duty as a mother, to be a little more conscious, to be a lot more focused. When you see these dangerous warning signs, get your baby away from that man. That's the mistake that she made as a mother, and she has to live with that.
Moving forward, obviously the question we had last week is, where is Maleah? We still have that question 7 days later. Do you expect we'll have an answer to that soon?
I expect that we will have an answer to that soon. I do. And I don't want to say why, but there are things that are taking place right now to bring that conclusion to its conclusion point.
Did you play any role in getting investigators to Darion Vence's family residence? Did you have any direct involvement with that?
I knew exactly where he was. And we shared that information with those who were involved investigating the case. We knew exactly where he was. We knew what time he had gotten there. We knew who brought him there, and we knew the role his brother was playing in helping and protecting him. And once I received the phone call that he was with his brother, and that's where they were going, and it was confirmed that they were there, then the appropriate person made the call for police to pick him up.
Has Brittany talked to him since all this went down?
No, he would no longer return her phone calls or return her text messages. The day after she came back, I think within 3 to 4 hours, he stopped communicating with her.
And 2 more questions. Any indication as to who sold him the gas can, or was it a family member that assisted him? And the second question, the lie was that he walked to the hospital. We now know someone drove him there. He showed up in a vehicle. Do we know who assisted him? Did he get assistance?
All of that is being uncovered right now. We believe that we're close to identifying the person that took him, but also we believe it was a family member that took him and dropped him off.
Anything else that I missed that you think the public should know about this?
Many people did not know that he had dismembered this beautiful baby.
You said that in the interview. What makes you say that? What information are you hearing that leads you to say that?
Well, there was blood splatter evidence in the apartment. There was luminol spray and chemical spray that was all over the apartment after homicide investigators left. When you look at the video footage extensively, you can tell what was going on. And you could tell he made 2 trips to buy big bottles of bleach. This was a man who never cleaned the house up ever. But he's buying big bottles of bleach, getting a big garbage bag, and There's blood splatter, etc., around the drainage area of the house. Why would human body tissue be in the drain system? Why would human body tissue be in the pipes under the sink, in the pipes under the bathtub? Why would that be? Why would there be human body tissue found around the creases and cracks of the bathtub? We know exactly what happened. Why would you go buy a gas can? Why go buy bleach? Why clean the whole house down with bleach? But really, it wasn't the whole house. He really just cleaned meticulously the kitchen sink and the bathroom. So you want a house clean, but you only touch the kitchen sink and scrub everything in the bathroom, everything.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
Now, you've been asking us a lot of questions about Maleah. One of them is this: why did she have brain surgery a few months ago?
Our investigative team spent the last few days going through court records and discovered the answer. But in order to explain what happened, we have to reveal some family issues, some allegations of abuse. And we are sharing this information not to point a finger at one person or try to influence public opinion, but to be transparent about what we've learned and to answer a question you've been asking. Here's investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes with what she discovered.
You can't deny the pure joy that jumps off of 4-year-old Maleah's face in the pictures that have been in the public eye since her disappearance. Those were perhaps the happier days. Court records we uncovered paint a darker picture of the little girl's life over the last several months. Documents we obtained from the Harris County clerk show that last August, the Department of Family and Protective Services received a report alleging physical abuse and neglectful supervision of Maleah. She was living with her mother, Brittany Bowens, and stepfather, Darian Vence, at the time. The state got involved after Maleah's mother brought her to the hospital with a head injury. Doctors had to do surgery to remove half of her skull. When Maleah got out of ICU, doctors ordered that she wear a helmet for 12 to 24 months while she healed. But that was not Maleah's first trip to the ER. According to records, 3 weeks earlier on July 10th, Bowens took Maleah to the ER after she was throwing up blood. Doctors reported Maleah was extremely lethargic. Maleah was treated and sent home. The very next week, on July 28th, Maleah was back in the hospital for a cut to her forehead. Medical professionals reported she had blood just outside of her brain. Neither parent was able to tell doctors what could have caused it. Bowens said she was hurt after falling from a chair, but medical professionals said that would not have caused the serious internal injuries. Doctors reported they were concerned about abuse. But in the end, the court found they could not confirm whether or not those injuries were caused by abuse. The CPS caseworker noted she had reason to believe there was neglectful supervision on Brittany Bowens' part, but nothing more. Child Protective Services has had temporary custody of Maleah since August, but they confirm she and her siblings were placed with a relative in February. The court ordered that Maleah's parents take a parenting class. According to those records, neither has done so. A judge revisited the case back in April. It's set to go back to court on May 22nd.